Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, this was just actually getting ready to shoot, and then I came across an article here from one of the websites I just recently discovered that I absolutely love, which is called Front Office Sports. I really love the work that they do. They have some very, very cleanly written articles. I just like everything about that website, at least so far. The work that I've seen. So anyway, I was going through the internet quickly, and something said, "Let me just check this website. I may see something interesting before we start shooting videos here today." Then I came across an article, which was basically on the front page, and it said, "JJ Redick emerges as the front runner for ESPN's top NBA broadcasting team." And I was like, "Wow, really?" Now, for those of you who have maybe been living under a rock recently, ESPN just laid off some of his front-facing talent, names with the likes of Jalen Rose, Jeff Van Gundy, Keyshawn Johnson, Max Kellerman, right? They laid off some pretty big names and a bunch of others, by the way. Those are just the ones that come to my mind at the moment. And in the same vein, they also brought in Pat McAfee. You see that they're trying to find a way to kind of reorganize themselves. I was just recently reading an article again from Front Office Sports where Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, was basically saying that they're reorganizing their business and they're potentially looking at finding a new partner to establish a strategic partnership. So then we hear this news, which means that, wait a minute, JJ Redick is going to be one of the people that's going to be retained at the network. And I think that, listen, JJ Redick, number one, has his own audience. From the Old Man and the Three, his own podcast. So he's actually bringing something tangible to the table. It's not just he's there utilizing the platform. He's actually bringing value to the table, which I believe is the way to go into the future. If you're not doing that, then you don't know what the hell is going on, right? And so as I started reading this article, it has some pretty interesting things to say. So, but before we get into this article, this video is brought to you by sponsor Aura, who's also the official sponsor of the T-Wolves. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in America is today? It's identity theft. Imagine trying to log into your email only to see that your password has been changed. Then you start getting weird notifications from your bank and credit cards only to find out that all of your personal and sensitive information has been totally compromised. If you think it can happen to you and your family, just know that in 2020, over 49 million Americans were victims to identity theft, costing them a combined $56 billion. That is why we are excited to partner with Aura, who's the sponsor of this video. Aura is the #1 identity theft and financial fraud protection. Aura monitors the dark web and alerts you if any of your passwords and accounts have been breached. And funny enough, after using Aura, I discovered some of my credentials were floating around in the dark web, and the app showed me exactly when and where the breach happened. In addition, Aura allows you to set spending alerts and they'll notify you of any suspicious transactions. Aura is 4 times faster than any of its competitors in alerting you if someone is trying to open a credit card or obtain a loan using your name. And remember this, every 14 seconds someone becomes a victim of identity fraud. Don't let it happen to you. Now click the link in the description and try Aura for free for 2 weeks and see if any of you or your family's personal information has been compromised. Start your free trial at aura.com/dreamerspro. And when you try Aura, by using the link in the description below, also know that you're supporting this channel. Thank you. Okay, so let me get into this article here. It says, JJ Redick has zoomed to the top of the Contenders list to join ESPN's top NBA game broadcast team, sources tell Front Office Sports. Redick, fellow ESPN analysts Doris Burke and Richard Jefferson, and 4-time NBA head coach Doc Rivers are all in play to possibly succeed the laid-off Jeff Van Gundy, sources tell. They will join the returning #1 game team of analysts Mark Jackson and play-by-play announcer Mike Breen. Front Office Sports previously pegged Redick as a contender for the job. Columnist Chad Finn of the Boston Globe speculated the new booth could be Rivers, Burke, and Breen. The question of ESPN is whether it wants to continue a 3-person broadcast booth for its top NBA games. That's unusual in today's sports media climate. Or install a 2-person booth along the lines of ESPN's Monday Night Football duo of Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. If Redick gets the top analysts, it will mark a meteoric rise at ESPN for the 39-year-old sharpshooter. The all-time leading scorer at Duke University only joined ESPN during the 2021-2022 season after a 15-year career in the NBA. But the smart, savvy Redick has shown his willingness to give big opinions while throwing elbows on air with ESPN stars Stephen A. Smith, Kendrick Perkins. He's worked game and studio NBA analysis for ESPN while co-starring on shows such as Smith's First Take. Then again, the talented Doris Burke has earned her shot at the number one NBA announce team. She's called the NBA Finals on radio for ESPN since 2020. With ESPN poised to enter bruising billion-dollar negotiations to retain its NBA media rights, Burke would help the network make history by becoming the first woman to call the NBA Finals on a television broadcast. Rivers and Al Michaels called the 2004 NBA Finals for Walt Disney's code ABC. But the longtime NBA coach returned to the bench the following year, eventually leading the Boston Celtics to the 2008 championship. He was fired by the Philadelphia 76ers in May, following their Eastern Conference semifinals playoff loss to the Celtics. This week, Rivers said he is still determining his coaching future. I don't know what I'm going to do, he told ESPN. I'm just going to enjoy life. So that's what the article had to say there. Now, let me just quickly react to it. Number one, this doesn't surprise me. Why? Because JJ Redick has built up a knack for saying things that generate headlines, that generates conversation. The network notices this, and this is something that I believe they like. Because he'll say something, next thing you know, it'll catch on like wildfire, then other people are talking about it, which brings them more attention, right? And then you have some people up there that say things, no one ever repeats it. No one ever goes over an interaction between that person and another person. All of us have reacted to JJ Redick and Chris Mad Dog Russo, JJ Redick and Kendrick Perkins, JJ Redick and Stephen A. Smith. So JJ Redick generates a lot of attention, which also I would assume generates the network a lot of money. So for them, I think is a smart bet. Number two, he does know basketball. Is everybody perfect? Absolutely not. We all have our shortcomings. His, I believe, is that he's so pro player. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't know basketball. And number one, it doesn't mean that he doesn't move the needle, which is important. So, more power to him, man. If he's going to get a raise and go up the ranks, more power to him. If he's earned it, I have no issue with it. I'm only here reporting the information. I'm not here standing in the way of anybody, progressing in their field. If that's what they're doing, then no problem. And ultimately, the decision is going to come down to ESPN. But I think what you're going to see moving into the future is you're going to see guys that have gone out there, created their own audience, and then they're now bringing them into the fold. You just saw it with JJ Redick. You just saw it with Pat McAfee. Be on the lookout for the next person, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go out there and get a Shannon Sharpe. I really would not be surprised because it seems like that's the way to go in the future. So these are my thoughts. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think about this promotion? Do you think it's fair? Do you think it's unfair? Do you think he's going to do a great job? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts in the comment section, and we catch you guys on the next show. Peace.